Hey, what's up, universe? I thought I would do a follow-up, like a before and after. So the first video was basically like, it's kind of in the middle of my stuff, And this is kind of post-process in a way, like I'm just finding my center again, right? And for those of you that know me from like another group, like I didn't necessarily like sharing that part, like the processing part. I felt like that was very private. Yet I feel like I'm being called to like kind of bring that out a little bit more to show that vulnerably, because I would share my process and show myself being fairly centered around it. Although it was never really the case. Like, I mean, I would be centered, but there was always times like what I just showed in my previous video where like I'd be losing it, like, you know what I mean? And so showing kind of both sides of the process, that it's not rainbows and unicorns, is I think what I'm being asked to do. And then there's like one of my original fears, that I'm kind of leaning into with this, is that showing that, and even how quick it can be, because like right now, like what, it's been like 10 minutes or so since my first video, and just kind of showing the shift and how quick it can be. It's like, how are people going to interpret that? What judgment are they going to give that? How are they going to label that? Like that's a fear, I'll be vulnerable about that too. Like, is this guy crazy? Is he bipolar? Like, what's his deal? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so who knows? But for me, it's really about being vulnerable and showing my process in the sense of like putting things into practice. Like what I said earlier, it's not my first rodeo. So sometimes my frustration with these emotions that come up, can be that like I know the principles at play, I know the principles of my beliefs at play and what I live by. So there's nothing to truly be afraid of, and so I get frustrated that I'm scared. Yet I'm scared. It's a valid feeling. It's just that it's kind of like, sometimes I get a little frustrated with myself, which I know is counterproductive. But regardless, basically what I'm looking to do is just show both sides of the equation, both, I guess, perhaps showcasing my feminine side of being open and vulnerable, more emotional, fluid, dynamic, and then on the flip side, when I find my centered, and not that that's not feminine, but like just being very grounded and rooted, I guess is actually defined more as a masculine trait, depending on the school of thought. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that from that place to work intentionally and to live intentionally and to set direction, and move towards that, regardless of what things look like, And so that's another principle that those that know me well have definitely heard, that I don't care about appearances. However, given the last 40 some odd minutes, I gave a lot about appearances, and that inspired a lot of things inside of me, and I can still feel those emotions. And so it's about showcasing this process. Like I have principles that I live by, I have principles that I talk about, and this is me showing how I live by those principles. And it can be real messy. It's not a clear-cut process, in the sense of like point A to point B. It's not linear. It's pretty jagged. You know what I mean? There's a lot of peak and valleys that are traversed sometimes. Anyway, thank you again for listening, and watching and being a part of this. So I'm gonna go and get intentional and direction and move towards some things, regardless of how things look. And that's, while I can feel that fear in my body, like that's okay. I'm not gonna die. So all right, I'll I'll just keep you guys updated. Thanks.